we're going right into it. We're back, people.
Yay!
We're back.
I can't wait to have to download both videos. Yay!
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun in the post. Oh my god.
So
So what was the next? I kind of
we
briefly touched upon. Well, we ended that. That was
yeah.
pretty much. So yeah, qualifiers.
All right. So we had 4 qualifying matches, which I would say that they were all basically what we predicted them to be. So the first one was Mustafa Ali versus Santos Escobar, but the highlights was LA Knight coming out for commentary. So I was excited that the reaction wasn't as loud as it's been in the last couple weeks, but it was still good, and I love that he was wearing his own t-shirt.
Yeah,
that was great.
Amazing.
And he did great on commentary. The match had some cool spots, and obviously Escobar wins, and then he celebrates with the rest of the LWO. Then we had Bailey versus Mia Yim. Damage Control walked out together, and I felt like that was like an important aspect, AJ Styles came out with Mia, and he then was on commentary, but I was kind of bummed about this match because it was really quick, and I felt like it was kind of just lame that they had Mia lose so quickly because I don't feel like she is the type that you need to use her to make you look good or something. You know what I mean? Like, she's not a squash match type of chick. So I was kind of bummed about that.
Yeah, I didn't like that either because she has, a nice resume to her, and she's with the OC, who you're trying to build up. Maybe if you're just trying to build up Damage Control and have the idea that, okay, people aren't going to not be fans of Michin after she lost this match. They want to be more invested in the Damage Control saga. I'm okay with that. But I would like to see Michin have longer matches. She's really good in the ring. I think she has a great character. And the OC in general, you just need to have them on TV more. So this is one way to do it, an easy way to do it. Put her in the title picture or some sort of picture, or is at least in some sort of feud.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah.
Which kind of, we'll tease it.
It looks like it.
It looks like it.
After she lost, Scarlett just appears out of nowhere and blows some like reddish dust into AJ Styles' face. Then Karrion puts him into a chokehold. Mia comes over to help, and then they announce that there will be a mixed tag team match between the 4 of them next week. So that's exciting because
I like that.
We haven't seen that type of collaborative effort with the OC really yet. And then we get Scarlett in the ring.
That's what I'm saying. You're getting your girl in the ring.
I know, so that's exciting, and it's funny how they're still trying to use Karrion as much as they can but they just keep having him bounce between people, because I thought it was dumb that they even had him kind of hint at some sort of feud with Nakamura when they obviously had plans to move him to Raw. So it was like, what was the point of that 1 week of him like teasing this feud? But I guess we're moving on to AJ Styles now, so we're not getting Grayson Allen or Grayson Allen, Grayson Waller.
Oh, I didn't even. That just didn't register because they're basically just.
I can't. It's just a slip of the tongue, I'm
both hateable.
Then we got the last men's qualifying match of the night, which was Butch versus Baron Corbin. Again, another quick match with a predictable ending, which I was fine with because we both predicted that Butch was going to win this match anyway. But Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams were in attendance, so we are seeing that NXT crossover.
Now, Entertainment had a comment in our, our last stream before the Power, asking what our thoughts were about this NXT crossover and integration. And I like this because it's, I like it because if you want to really build NXT to be their standalone brand, like they basically were in the black and gold era, you need to do stuff like this. You need to treat them as the third brother, in a sense, the younger brother who's trying to fight their way. Like, no, we're legit. We're just as good as you guys. We are, have this, whatever. And Carmelo Hayes as their champion could not be a better move. I saw something that Melo, so one wrestler said that Melo should stay in NXT for,
A
longer than
while.
he should. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in a negative way at
Mm-mm.
all.
Yeah.
He could really be that next Johnny Gargano in a way where it becomes his brand. It becomes his show and
Mm-hmm.
he's the champion. And if you give him a lengthy, year and a half title reign, obviously not a long Roman Reigns one, but a
Yeah.
good length, then you're just establishing yourself as the third brand of WWE. Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because there are so many talented people in NXT right now, even if some of the shows are kind of cringy because we've not been always the biggest fans or supporters of NXT in recent times, but they do have quite a bit of talent down there. And it is a shame when they are brought up to the main roster and they don't get that much of a reaction because people don't know who they are because the audiences don't translate. So I think this is a good way to integrate them onto Raw or SmackDown exactly the same way that they're having, Baron Corbin in NXT right now, Mustafa Ali in NXT. We saw Dolph Ziggler down there, The New Day. Like, it's good to kind of have that integration both ways. And I think it's more interesting, for even the people who don't regularly watch NXT, but you're aware of who they are. Like, it's just kind of an interesting aspect of the show that you don't necessarily know is happening, but it does. I mean, it makes Baron Corbin a little bit more like digestible to watch. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
so,
And we might see some integration this week.
mm,
Your boy.
I know. I for the Raw preview, I have that. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I
All
added it
right.
because I just
Oh, all
remembered.
right. Then I won't say anything. All right.
So
Cool.
then the final women's qualifying match was Shotzi versus Io Sky, and this was another quick match. Bayley got involved, tripped Shotzi, and Io takes advantage of it to get a win with the moonsault. So obviously, I predicted that Bayley and Io were going to win. Io is my pick for who's going to win Money in the Bank. But I didn't particularly like that they had Bayley interfere like Io needed Bayley's help to beat Shotzi. I just kind of thought that was like, I don't know. I would have preferred it with Bayley, like if Io interfered to help Bayley beat Mia Yim. Like, I would have preferred it if they were going to do it that, like, someone was going to have to interfere in one of the damage control matches. I would have preferred it the other way because Io doesn't need help. I'm not saying Bayley does, but like,
that's exactly what they want you to think. They want you to say that she doesn't need help, but Bayley's still helping her, and that's just adding fuel to the fire in a sense.
Well, and it could be a factor that plays into the Money in the Bank match where they want you to think that Io's more of the underdog compared to Bayley because Bayley's been champion and Io hasn't and whatever. So that could definitely play a part in it. But we have one more men's match, which we'll talk about on Raw. And I think, do we have one more women's? Or are we all done?
No, we should have one more.
So then one more, I would assume, on Raw. So we'll have to see. I don't think that they've announced that one yet. So, so speaking of women's division, I knew this was.
I hate talking about. I hate talking about her. I can't, Sarah. I'm gonna let
fortunately, we don't have
you.
to talk a whole lot about her, but I saw that this was an idea that was being floated around before SmackDown happened, but dirt sheets say dirt sheet things, and so I wasn't sure that it was legitimate, but it ends up being that yes, they are indeed going to be unifying the women's and the NXT women's tag team titles, which part of me is fine with it, like what we were just talking about, like integrating NXT in the main roster. Like, it's not a bad idea. It's just who's involved with the integration and the unification is what I have a problem with. So we finally once again see Alba Fire and Isla Dawn because they kind of debuted, but like kind of didn't, like a few weeks ago.
Squash match.
I love them.
Huge fan.
They're so cool, so different. And they're Scottish, like my home people. So I'm just like, I don't know. There was just something, their vibe. I was digging it, I was obsessed. So before they could do anything, because they went into the ring and Kayla Braxton was going to have some sort of interview with them, Ronda and Shayna decide to come out, and
They
Shayna
didn't
just
follow the rule.
I know.
They didn't follow the unwritten rule.
Shayna gets on the mic immediately and says, the reason why the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships were even created was because of me, and that they're basically the Shayna Baszler commemorative tag team championships, which I was just like, girl, you need to slow down.
Yeah, I didn't watch that era enough to know that.
And I was just like,
know the greatest hits.
You need some humble pie. Then Ronda says that they've been tearing through the division, and right when she said that, I was like, you've had one title defense.
You've had
and that was last week. Like, what do you mean you're tearing through the division? Like, I understand you're trying to hype yourself up and trying to like put yourself on this like pedestal that you're like a dominating tag team, which obviously the two of them together can be a dominating tag team, but you've been tag team champions for like a week. Like, I think you need to, or 2 weeks. You need to calm down. Like, you're not tearing through the division, but okay. And she says, well, the division isn't big enough for both titles. So Alba and Isla accept the unification, and then they just start brawling. And what I did like about it was it looked like they were going to have Ronda and Shayna just kind of obliterate them, but that's not what happened. We saw Alba and Isla get the better of them, and they ended up leaving, which I thought was an interesting thing because
I loved it.
I did too, because they are trying to make Ronda and Shayna be these like untouchable champions, and that is not something that untouchable champions would do. They wouldn't flee like a brawl or a fight, you know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting, because I was like, okay, maybe they will not make Ronda and Shayna the unified title tag team champions, but I think that's what's going to end up happening. You don't think so?
No.
You think they were just placeholder champions?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yes. It's a new era. The era of this, dominant part-time, I'm a big name champion and not a big name wrestler, is over. And you can see that. Those two are Triple H's, we'll say Infinity Stones, if anyone's seen that meme.
Who?
And Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Like that's an NXT, like those, So what I see with this is you have them in a match, and then you have Casey and Caden, right?
Yep.
No, Katana and Caden.
Katana, yeah, sorry, that was her real name.
Katana and Caden. So have them interfere in the match, cost them the titles. Isla Dawn, Alba Fire win, and then you have a triple threat match for the unified, and then you keep that feud like intercycling until SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know that they'll get
involved,
but I do think it would be a mistake to give the titles to Ronda and Shayna, because they don't need that validation as champions the same way that girls that you just brought out from NXT that we haven't even seen like in a real match yet, the way they need it. Because if you kind of bury them in their first official match, it's not great, because even at least with the match between Ronda, Shayna, Katana, and Caden, they looked great. Like, it doesn't matter that they lost and it was their debut, because they were able to do basically whatever they wanted in that match. And so it's not going to hinder people's perception of them or their impression of them, So, but we haven't really seen anything from Alba and Isla. So I feel like they need this more than Ronda and Shayna do. Plus, like, yeah, Alba and Isla are intimidating, but they don't seem like unbeatable the way that Ronda and Shayna do.
No, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't have a problem with it. I think they announced that for like 2 or 3 weeks from now. I think it's for like, I don't know if it's like the go home show or what.
2 weeks. No, the 3 weeks is the go home show, because that's what we're going to talk about next.
Yes. So they announced quite a few matches, which is, I guess, cool, because it's like way in advance. But another one was we saw a new women's championship introduced for Asuka, and there was a lot of mixed reactions on this championship, because it's basically a replica of what Roman's was from last week, but the women's version, and with a white strap on it. I personally don't have an issue with this. I love the fact that it looks like the men's, because that's exactly what they did with the original reintroduction of the women's championships. They looked identical to the men's, except they, it was a white strap with the red
Mhm.
background. And then when they brought in the SmackDown, it was the white with the blue.
Blue.
So I think that it's cool because I was just talking about this like a week or whatever we were talking about it, that the women still felt inferior because of them being branded to the shows. And so I love the idea that now the women's is just the women's championship and that it looks like the men's, because people are like, this is such a lack of creativity. What do you want them to do? Like, I don't understand what you want them to do, because then if you had them get super creative with it, people would be complaining about that too.
Exactly. But you're never
So,
gonna satisfy everybody. So just do the best you can.
well,
All you gotta
and
do is try.
it's the advertisement of the company, the big W. Like,
Yeah, you
because
need
then
to
people
have
were
that.
like, what does this mean for Rhea's title? Okay, well, people were floating around the idea of having like the world heavyweight title
I
made
saw
into
that.
like the women. So who knows? But obviously they're gonna have to do something with Rhea's, because she can't be the SmackDown champion on Raw, and then Asuka's on SmackDown being just the women's champion. But someone did, I feel like, made a good point where they were making a big deal about, the unveiling of the World Heavyweight Championship and the unveiling of the Undisputed Championship. They did not make a big deal out of this one, and that kind of is like, it's because it's the women's, isn't it? Like, that's just like how it feels. Like, we didn't get notified like a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance. Like, there's a new women's
Yeah.
title coming. You know what I mean? So that kind of like bums you out a little bit. But
It'd be, but like, the thing with, okay, devil's advocate here. I see it as not an issue, or not that, you know, in the way, because with the world heavyweight, they needed to get a new title. It's a new title, so you're gonna build up a new title as much as you can. With
mhm,
Roman, the only reason he got a new title was they were like, we need to find a way to get 2 belts off of him.
right.
Okay, well, it's Thousand Day. Thousand Day is a pretty big accomplishment. So let's give him his own title. And then,
Mm,
oh, wait, have that be the new title. It's only one, and then you get the 2 belts off him, and then you
yeah.
can start over. With this, it's just more of, it's a new title because you screwed up in a way with drafting the Raw Women's Champion to SmackDown. So it's like, hey, here's a quick fix.
Mhm.
I don't see it as that. It's more, the way I see it is putting a band-aid over it and not having like a big idea. It's like, oh shit, we screwed up. All right, here's the fix. Easy, boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, it's going to come across like that. And I actually do wonder if that was something that they thought about with this. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't see this as, oh yeah, it's a women's title. It's, yeah, why are you gonna make a big deal of it? No, it's just they had to fix a problem. So they
Yeah.
wanted to fix it the fast way possible instead of making it a grand to do. Because just how
Mhm.
way things are right now. That's the way I see it. I
Well,
don't.
you make a good point.
You're a woman,
So
so you would.
I am woman.
I am
Yeah.
woman. I am man.
So anyway, so Adam Pearce is out there and he puts the new title on Asuka, and then all of a sudden we hear all hail
Wow.
the queen.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
okay, Charlotte returns after being gone since WrestleMania 39 2 months ago. And Adam is like, what are you doing? I kind of already know what you're doing, but you need to get in line. And Charlotte, who was really over in Iowa, which was
Yeah, weird.
unique. Um, she says, I don't wait in line, I made the line. And then she challenges Asuka to a championship match, but pointing to the wrong championship and
Yeah,
the
it was
old one.
great. It was
And I
great.
love
It was
that
awesome.
Bianca posted that. She was like, it looks like we're fighting for 2 different championships, so I guess that my rematch is still okay, right?
Oh, it was
Because
awesome.
I just thought that was funny. Um, Asuka then spits the mist, but Charlotte ducks and kicks her in the face.
Oh, you can't have
So
Charlotte. look with all Mr. on her, that they'll just ruin the queen's look. You can't do that.
Oh yeah. So the match is scheduled for the go home show to Money in the Bank. And Charlotte is announced as Grayson Waller's next guest for the Grayson Waller effect. So with all of this in mind, that then begs the question, what does this mean for Bianca's rematch? So we did see her backstage before the unveiling ceremony or whatever you want to call it. We saw her with Adam Pearce even afterwards. She tells Pearce that she's upset about Flair jumping ahead of her for the rematch, but says when she gets it back, it will be justified. But this calls into a lot of questions, right? So if they are not going to be making Bianca a part of this match, because there were people who thought that it would be a triple threat, does this mean Bianca will interfere in the go home show match
1000%.
to make sure that Charlotte doesn't win?
1000.
Or will she be added to a match at Money in the Bank to make it a triple threat because of her interference? Or maybe she doesn't interfere. Or could she be turning heel so that she can feud with Charlotte? No matter what the answer is to any of these questions, I don't care what they are, as long as Asuka is not a placeholder champion and Charlotte is there to become the champion. Because if that's what it is, I am going to be livid.
I don't blame you. I'll be pretty peeved too.
You know, everybody was expressing that they were upset because Charlotte just always comes back and is immediately in the title picture. I get it. I hate it. I was so irritated about it last night. But Charlotte versus Asuka is going to be great. I'm not mad about it. My only issue will be is if they really had Asuka dethrone Bianca, because that's basically what they did, to then hold on to the title until Charlotte decided she wanted to come back. I will be, because then her reigns mean nothing. It doesn't matter that you're going to be a 15 or 16-time champion. I couldn't even tell you what your best reign was because you've had so many of them that it's like, but they weren't most of them, if not almost all, were like not meaningful. And that would be this one too. Like, it's just not, give other women a chance, you know?
I completely echo what you're saying. What I see with this, and as soon as you said, I don't know, whatever it was, point is
triple threat.
Yeah, I knew that was coming, but you're gonna have Bianca interfere in the match, okay? The match that is going to where the match is going to happen is at the O2. It's the go home show before Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
What I envision, all right, Sarah, and hopefully your ears and the peeps' ears are perked up, because when a champ speaks, you listen, and listen to this.
Alrighty.
You're going to have Bianca come out after a hellacious match, okay? It's going to be a really good match between Charlotte and Asuka, probably even main event. I would think this would main event in a way.
Maybe.
In a perfect world, it would main event. Bianca interferes. It's an all-out brawl, okay? It's 3 women, security guards everywhere, whatever. Adam Pearce goes, enough of this. All right, I'm sick of you guys bickering at each other. You 3 settle it tomorrow at Money in the Bank, and that's how they'll announce the match. It's brilliant. It makes sense because it's like, why wouldn't you have Asuka, Charlotte at Money in the Bank? Bianca doesn't have a match at Money in the Bank, but is still in this mix. You know, it's just connecting those puzzle pieces to make a nice picture. And we're going to get a great picture at the O2 if we listen to the champ.
What's interesting, though, is like, would we see Bianca turn heel? Because Charlotte's a good guy. And Bianca turning heel, as I've said before, for a while it's felt similar to John Cena, where it felt like they were never going to do it because they were like, it's too risky. Like, she's so over with the kids love her. Like, we need her to be the poster girl of the division. So I would love for her to be a heel. I think she could be a great heel. And as Ashton says, Bianca needs a character change. And I agree. I've been saying that. I love Bianca. She's so amazing in the ring. But there is something that needs to change. Maybe we get kind of a glimpse of like her becoming so obsessed with regaining the title, kind of similar to how like Becky was when she became big time Bex. Some sort of aspect like that, like maybe not being a full blown heel, but like kind of doing heelish things because she's just so focused on regaining the title. Something needs to happen because like there's only so long that you can kind of be this like good guy, like and like not be boring. You know, like exactly. her matches are great, but there just needs to be a little bit of a change.
I agree with that, yeah.
Ashton also says that Asuka needs to have a good reign. I agree, because if she's a placeholder champion, I'm going to be like, Triple H, what are you thinking? Like, what are we doing here? Because then you should have just kept the title on Bianca, and then that way you could have just had that feud there already. And he says nothing against Charlotte. She's great, but she doesn't need a title reign right now. That's what I'm saying. I even said it to somebody last night that Charlotte is great. She's phenomenal, if not the best woman to ever wrestle in WWE. It's argument, it's a debate, whatever. She's great. I think some of, the best matches that we've seen this year, WrestleMania 39, possibly the match of the year, and Charlotte happened to be in that. But she also needs to take a step back, similarly to how Becky and Bayley have. They are not involved in the title picture right now, and they haven't been for a while.
They don't need to be, correct.
Exactly, but can Charlotte do that? You know what I mean? Like, can Charlotte not be over, or she can't handle not being involved in the title picture? Like, what is it? Because I don't know that many feuds that she's had that didn't involve the championship. Like, I don't know how often she's ever had some sort of rivalry that didn't have anything to do with the title. So I really would love to see Asuka retain, no matter what ends up happening, if it's a one-on-one match or a triple threat. And then seeing Charlotte and Bianca feud separately that doesn't have anything to do with the title. That, I feel like, is the best idea. But I guess we shall see, because we're going to have to wait a couple weeks for that match. Then we have another title match happening next week, though. The number one contender tag team gauntlet match. This was a funny segment to me, because this was like Kevin and Sami are talking like privately, or at least supposed to be privately, like in their locker room, and then dudes just keep coming in. Like, how did you know what they were talking about? Like, it's just kind of funny. Like, the cameras aren't supposed to be there, Like, I just thought it was funny. So they're talking, and then Pretty Deadly.
It's awesome to see them getting this much time.
I'm so obsessed. I'm sorry, but like, they roll in and just insult them immediately. Like, have you ever considered like looking better? Basically,
I took offense to that as someone who tries to mimic KO and dresses like KO sometimes. I took real offense.
That was just perfect. And he was like laughing to himself too, like for a little too long, but it was just, and then they demand a title match. And then Ridge and Sheamus just roll up, because apparently they're all sharing a locker room, and they want a title match. Then the OC comes in, the LWO comes in, the Street Profits roll in, and they're all like, we want title matches too. And then this new part of Kevin Owens where he has mental breakdowns, near heart attacks, happens again.
It's my favorite.
And he just freaks out about all these guys wanting a match. So Adam Pearce comes in and says they will have a gauntlet match next week to determine the number one contender. And upon first and further review, the only team that makes sense to win this match are Pretty Deadly, because they are the only heels in the match. So if we're sticking to the usual formula of how a match is created, usually there are good guys, there are bad guys. The only bad guys in this gauntlet match are Pretty Deadly. So I'm here for that. I just don't think that's what's gonna happen. But
I would love the OC to win. I really would. Or maybe the Street Profits turn heel in this match. I don't know.
Triple H doesn't really follow the old recipe of how to make a match. We've seen plenty of we just saw like Shinsuke Nakamura and Ricochet in a match, and it's like people love both of them. So it's like, that's just the most recent example I can think of that Triple H has done. So I wouldn't be surprised if, the Brawling Brutes win or the Street Profits win, and no one's going to care because they like them both. But yeah, that's why I thought was interesting, because I was looking at the teams and I was like, wait a second, aren't they all like cool and like friendly right now, except for Pretty Deadly?
They're all awesome.
So I love this idea. I love this match, but to me, it screams we need to separate the tag team championships, because then this reminded me of the fact that Imperium is feuding with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and now this eliminates them from becoming number one contenders or for going for the tag team titles, because now they will be officially crowning the number one contenders on SmackDown. So that kind of bothered me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
May I have your attention, please?
So as great as it is, my boys.
Oh, I was okay. I was actually gonna say something.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
I thought you were just
sorry.
doing
That
the.
was a transition, Sarah,
Oh,
into
okay.
what I
I'm
was gonna
sorry.
say about
Sorry.
Imperium. What I see happening is they're gonna just be Thorns and KO side, and then you're gonna have Pretty Deadly. Okay, hear me out. Big brain here. Big brain.
Okay.
You have two heels now that are going to be, if Pretty Deadly in a perfect world win. You have two
To
heels
become
going
number
against.
one contender, you mean?
Yes,
Oh,
to come
okay.
to work that.
Okay.
And then you're gonna have the most over of baby faces right now for the tag team as the tag team champions. What you
Mm-hmm.
do is SummerSlam or Money in the Bank, whatever. You have a triple threat match because KO does one of his little mental breakdowns and goes, "Enough! I will just fight you both. I'll put both titles on the line. I don't care, whatever." And after he does that, then you split up the titles. Boom. You have tag titles on each show. Even have KO and Sammy win. Maybe they beat Imperium. All right. But they
Mm-hmm.
lose to Pretty Deadly from bullshit in a 2 out of
Yeah.
3 falls or something. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not booking it. And then they beat Imperium. They're celebrating or whatever. Pretty Deadly come in, get a sneak win, and that's how you whatever. But the point is, you split the titles, and that's where the way this is going. Okay, they're slowly but surely trying to get these undisputed and two titles off because they want a brand split. Okay, that's what this is all culminating to.
That would be nice. I would prefer that they did split them and didn't unify them.
Yes,
because that's what they're doing with the women's in NXT. So I'm
but
like,
that's different. I feel with that.
I just mean because of we're seeing a pattern so
Oh, true.
far
Yeah,
of the
that's
reintroduction of titles and unifying. So I was like, I would prefer that the men's didn't because there were far too many male tag teams that
that's the
they
difference.
they couldn't limit it to just one set. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. I hope I'm not disappointed, but that's just because I'll be rooting for one of the 5 teams, but that's the life you live when you're a big fan of heels, you don't always 99% of the time don't get what you want. It's a
Yeah,
tough
I've
life,
I've noticed that. That's why I love the faces.
That's why I'm like a masochist, I guess. I just am like
You
I love rooting for the bad guys because I love being disappointed when they don't win. Like no, I don't, but that's what it feels like.
That's what's like being a Patriots fan.
I guess. Well, now if
Now
you're
it
like a
is.
bitter fan, but like I'm optimistic when it comes to the Patriots. You can't tell me nothing. So, since that was SmackDown, let's talk about Raw a little bit. We did get a few matches announced for Raw. So we have Cody Rhodes versus The Miz, stemming from the Miz TV segment from this past Raw. So am I excited for this match? Not necessarily, but I guess this gives Cody something to do. I kind of would prefer it being Dominic, but I guess maybe Dominic will get involved, help The Miz, or bring Prison Dom back and slap Cody again. I don't know. So setting their matchup because I think that's where
Yeah,
they're headed. But
yeah. Prison Dom's gonna cost Cody the match. Miz finally gets a win on Raw because Miz is overdue. Sarah,
yeah,
Miz needs a win. It does, and the thing is, in the way he is right now, his character is, he needs cheap wins. Give him some
yeah.
bullshit heel wins. Like, yeah, I feel like this is a good time, and it just pummels Cody more. All right, just
Mm-hmm.
keeps knocking him down so that he can still be undeniable, undesirable. And what's the final one?
Uncrowned.
Well, yeah, he's gonna be on Crown for some time. So
But it also furthers the anger that he would have towards Dominic. So it would
exactly,
make sense.
setting up their Money in the Bank match.
Yes.
Yes.
So then we also had, as I already alluded to a little bit, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser, which is very rude that they are having Giovanni just like chill, but whatever.
What's going on with Baldy? Like, what's he doing?
That was rude.
That was that was very like
That was rude.
we need to hear him talk. All right, I want him to not be the solo enforcer of the group. I kind of want him to be like a nice comic relief where how everyone has that uncle or family friend.
He's
that
not like. What are you talking about? He is not.
he's where he doesn't say anything. He's a tough guy, whatever. But when you need like a witty comment or like a one line or whatever, he's that guy to do it. We need to make him that guy. Ludwig's the mouth already. He's the brute force. You need him to be just jabs, just little verbal jabs. Why are
I
we
mean,
doing that with him?
well, because they're not supposed to be a comical group.
No, it's not comical. It's like you can do one liners and be like, oh shit. But they can be like stingers too. You can have both in that sense. Trust me. You just need
All
to
right.
like just say a sentence or two. That's all I'm saying. It's not hard.
All right. We'll see.
I just
Then we also had the final mini Money in the Bank men's qualifying match, which is Matt Riddle versus Damian Priest. If Damian Priest doesn't win this match, or if Matt Riddle I don't want Matt Riddle to be in there. I was gonna say Matt Riddle being in that match would get him away from Gunther, but then if he wins Money in the Bank, that would get him to Gunther. So
you're
Damian
conflicted. I
Priest.
can see it. I can see it.
I'm Damian Priest. I think this would be a good move for Damian because it's highlighting him more, it's making him that main event guy more. And I feel like he deserves it. And I feel like he could be, Matt Riddle fits like the style of match that Money in the Bank is, but we already have that with Ricochet. We have that with Santos Escobar. Like, we don't need like another dude flying off the top rope. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think
we don't need Matt.
we
need
don't
Matt Riddle
need
in this
that.
match. No, we
Yeah.
don't.
So I think it would be great for Damian to win.
We need Matt Riddle in the match. I mean, Matt Riddle to lose because he needs to kind of do his own thing. Maybe have a one-off with Gunther. Don't have it be a big feud. You got to have him be in the. I'm sorry, this is where we disagree. You have to have him face Gunther at some point. It just does not need to be a long feud. You just need to have him do something right now to build him up. Have a decent, maybe a 4-star, 3.5-star match with Gunther, and then he goes and maybe he becomes. Was he drafted to Raw?
Riddle?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, so then have him feud with someone on Raw. Because if he was a free agent, then you should have him go back down to NXT and feud with people there. But
no, it's like Corbin, Mustafa Ali, and other random like.
what's his face? I can picture him. No, I almost said Mo Vaughn. Jesus. Von Wagner.
Yeah, there's just like other random people that are free agents right now. So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be for Gunther. Maybe Imperium gets involved to make him lose the match. I don't know, but whatever. I'm just not looking forward to it. And then we also had this really random
I love
announcement.
I fucking love it.
So Braun Breaker was a front runner at the time to be drafted in the WWE draft earlier this year. Most people thought it was the most obvious person that was going to be taken, and he wasn't. Continued his feud with Carmelo Hayes, has since lost the title like matches that he was in like twice, I think, against Melo. He's heel, so he's wearing a black singlet because black is like evil and like take me serious. And then he challenged Seth Rollins to a world heavyweight title match. So I don't know if this is happening on Raw. It might happen on Raw. I'm not sure. I think this could be a good match, but I'm more curious about what this would lead to. Like, is this Braun coming to the main roster, or is this just another move, like we said earlier, of infusing NXT talent on the main roster and kind of like getting people familiar with the people in NXT?
To me, what this says is that what they're gonna do is they not screwed up, but they needed Braun to really flush out this heel persona. Okay. And it wasn't ready at draft time. That's fine. The draft is not the NFL draft. You can get drafted or go wherever. That's wrestling.
Yeah.
So what I see with this is that he's done in NXT. Okay. There's no need for him to be in NXT anymore. We got it. What they did with Cena and KO when he just showed up for that open challenge, and then it was a feud, and then he dropped the NXT title and he's on Raw. They dropped that on it, so it was a shock, whatever. Nowadays, they would rather hype it up, and that's all they're doing. It's just they are getting ahead of an open challenge surprise because it would be better if Braun Breaker announced it on NXT, get the people who aren't familiar with NXT, get them be like, who is Braun Breaker? Watch a couple highlights, compilation videos. Now, like, oh, this is going to be a banger match. Have it on Raw, maybe. Have it on NXT so that you get the World Heavyweight Champion on NXT. Another way to legitimize the brand.
That's what I heard is happening. I heard that Seth is going to make appearances on NXT, but I don't know how many. I don't know. I don't think the match is happening on Raw this, following week. But I had read that there were rumblings of him being down in NXT. So I'm assuming this is a match that'll be like drawn out a bit. Like it won't happen immediately. I mean, but imagine having Seth Rollins and NXT. That's huge.
That is
man.
really big. That's really big for your brand.
Yeah, especially because, no disrespect to the guys that they've had down there in recent months, like we said, Ziggler, New Day, Ali, Corbin.
They're great.
They're not Seth Rollins. So
they're not Seth freaking Rollins.
And that I feel like that might say a lot about how they feel about Braun Breaker, because there's been a lot of conflicting feelings on him, like, as a character and whatever. And I think, it probably was the best move to make him a heel, because I feel like depending on what they start as, obviously this shows you that they can be both. If they're successful at one or successful at both, it shows you right there. But if they're already thinking about having him go against the World Heavyweight Champion, and that happens to be Seth Rollins, I feel like that kind of tells you what they think of Braun Breaker at this moment. So, I mean, kudos to him. Sorry to Cora Jade if he is brought up to the main roster, because you won't be seeing your man as much. But,
he's going to be on the road, sweetie. Getting his ass beat by Seth freaking Rollins.
So Ashton says Braun Breaker needs to be on the main roster already, and so does Entertainment. He says, I think Braun is coming to the main roster one way or another soon. And that's that's what it looks like right now. So I am interested to see how this develops, because I think that could be interesting. And I still hope that Seth is still like getting into a feud also on the main roster, you know what I mean? Or like defending the title, because that was something that's his biggest selling point at this point. So I kind of hope that still happens.
Oh, they'll capitalize on that.
Yeah. So that was SmackDown and our Raw preview.
SmackDown. Thank you, everyone who bared with us through the technical difficulties. You guys are real peeps, and that's come from a champ. So we really appreciate it, and we'd appreciate it more. All right, if you hit that subscribe button on Sarah's YouTube channel, Sara Marshall XO, and maybe even the bell notification to know when we go live once, twice, even 3 times. Who knows? My power might go out one day. Knock on wood, might not happen.
Maybe.
And follow us on Twitter. Hold on. There's a reason you got to follow us on YouTube. Not only just to know when we go live, but because if you can't sit through 2, all right, which I almost didn't. We almost didn't get through 2 little streams here. Sara has these clips cut. We have these clips cut, and for your disposal to watch, if you can't watch the whole show, you watch whatever you want to watch, and then go check those out and share it, because we need the views to make this our full-time thing and to get to WrestleMania 40. I have my fund. Okay, I'm trying to build the fund to get us to WrestleMania 40. It's gonna happen because we'll be in Underground's backyard. And then follow us on Twitter and Instagram to know when we go live or when those clips go live, at @Pat_Pitts and at @SMarshXO. Instagram as well, at Pitsy35 and at @SMarsh_. TikTok, @SMarshXO as well, because those clips on YouTube, they go to TikTok as well. And TikTok is the hottest thing apparently going on right now. Apparently. So thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We will see you next episode. Yeah.